Hi there. Can you guys hear me? Is that a yes? Oh, okay. Well, very nice to see everybody. We have a few people here who have come to say hello. So our first guest is Phil. Come on in and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Oh, look, it's everyone. Oh, it's Jennifer, Naomi, Rita, Marion. This is so cool.
I know, isn't it cool?
That you can see everyone around the world.
We're high tech here.
How is everyone?
You're on mute.
Oh, yes, everyone's putting their thumbs up. I love that.
And we have our next guest, Kat, is here. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Oh, everyone's there.
It's
Mary.
so cool.
And we have one hidden guest.
And a dog.
This is even better than
Hey,
real life
Chrissy.
Phuket Cleanse. You get to like see, gosh, you're saving cash. You don't need to fly over here.
And then two more people to video bomb. So we've got me, Tamara, Jenny on the left, everyone.
So this is our lockdown group.
Oh, it's so nice. You can just like see everyone around the world. Everyone looks so fresh. Honestly, gosh, you guys have got tans. Jennifer, yes, I can see you there. Lovely, lovely glow there. Oh gosh.
Alrighty.
Anyway, let me get on.
Enjoy.
Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, okay, so my plug.
Hi.
Hi, so I'm glad to have everybody back. And yesterday was a big day online for us because we did 2 rebirthings. We did a rebirthing for 2 different time zones, and some of you were there, and that was incredible. And if you missed it, I really hope that you can make another event, a rebirthing event. So look for that. It was a really incredible experience. Some of you may not even know what rebirthing is. It's a really wonderful, I mean, I should be able to describe it. It's one of these indescribable, amazing experiences. It's deep work, but oh boy, here I go. Every week I have trouble explaining rebirthing. Rita, can you help me? Are you there? Can you tell us what rebirthing is? Considering I'm the biggest rebirthing, that's how indescribable this experience is, that I need somebody else to describe this thing that is my favorite thing in the world to do.
It is indescribable because it's an inner experience. So it's different for everybody, but it's a special type of breath work. We do a conscious connected breath, and it basically puts you in kind of a deep meditative state so that you can release things that you need to release or realize things that you need to realize. So again, it's different for every person and it's different every time you do it, but it is an experience that's hard to explain. You have to just go ahead and be there. And I see so many of you that were on the 2 calls yesterday. So thank you all so much for being on that. And we will talk and see if you want to continue that or continue any other type of breath work that will help you in any way through this time, through your life, in your life.
Yeah. I am really excited, and we're really excited today to have Sam here. And I guess all of you know that, and that's why you're here. And so many of you have been to Sam's well-known, famous self-love talks and so many other workshops she's given. And some of you have been coached by Sam. And she's in Australia now. And today she's created a very special workshop around managing anxiety and stress in these uncertain times. And I like it because she's got a number of tools for us to work with. So I think we're going to do some deep inner work. So I'm just going to turn this all over to Sam.
Hey everyone, thank you Mel for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being here. This is so exciting to see you all. I don't know if you are like me, but I have set up my screen in gallery view, so it's like the Brady Bunch but bigger. It's so cool. It's like everybody's face is everywhere. So for those of you, I used to always give people a bit of a this is how we use Zoom, but I feel like so many people now know how to use Zoom thanks to these kind of crazy lockdown circumstances we all find ourselves in. But at the moment, just so you know, I'm just going to do a tiny bit of housekeeping on Zoom at the top, and then I'll tell you what we're going to talk about today. But everyone is muted, but you can unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question, or if there's something that I say that isn't clear to you, feel free to unmute yourself. Also, you can pop questions in the chat box. So I'm going to see how I go at answering them as we go along. But if I can't, if there's too many questions or whatever, I will stay at the end and answer them at the end so that I'm respectful of everybody's time. And yeah, if you want to change the view, if you want to be able to see everyone, usually if you're on a computer, it's in the top right-hand corner of Zoom. You can change the view and scroll from gallery to speaker to all sorts of things so that you can, I've literally got like 30 boxes on my screen right now, so it's pretty exciting. So yeah, so feel free to interact, to ask questions, to comment on anything that you hear. And you will have seen, anyone that logged on early, that the question we had was to write in the chat box one thing that you're grateful for. So anyone who has been to any talk that I've ever given in the history of me giving talks will know that I open every single talk with this question. So feel free to just pop those in the chat box. I'm not going to read them out loud, but it's always really nice to see what everybody's grateful for. And that's what I'm going to start with at the top, which is that today I am really, really grateful for spending the first 2 hours of my Sunday morning reading. I'm a total nerd, and I bought a new book. I have 52 books on the go at the moment on my Kindle, so I really did not need to buy another one. But it's all about emotions. Surprise, surprise, I'm reading about emotions, and it's called Permission to Feel, and it's an amazing book. So I'm very grateful for starting my Sunday in a very lazy way with a lot of reading. So yeah, if you want to just start sharing what you are grateful for, that would be really lovely for everyone to kind of see. So today I am going to go through 10 different tools to help you manage stress and anxiety. And 5 of them are going to be mental tools and 5 of them are going to be physical tools. And I will talk about when it is that you would choose to use a mental tool versus when you would choose to use a physical tool. Now, you don't need to use all 10 of these tools. The reason that I'm always giving multiple tools is that I think different tools resonate with different people. Sometimes we might hear a tool and be like, oh, I'm never going to use that. So if that's your response, you don't have to use it, right? Pick one of the other 10, you know, one of the other 9 on there if you don't like that particular tool. So yeah, I'm going to go through those 10 tools. Nothing that I say is revolutionary, right? It's all, you probably have heard of most of these tools before. But I would love you to kind of keep an open mind and know that sometimes it is the simplest tools that have the most impact. So I am going to start with how it is that you would determine whether you're going to use a mental tool or whether you're going to use a physical tool to manage your stress and anxiety. So to begin with, the reason why we're doing this topic on stress and anxiety is that there is so much stress and anxiety in the world right now with what is going on, because stress literally is just a change to a system. So even if you're someone that doesn't normally feel particularly stressed, whenever there is a change in a system, that is what stress is. And so all of us, and for the first time in the world, every single person is under change, right? We are all undergoing change, and there's never been kind of more uncertainty than right now. Nobody really knows how long any of these conditions are going to last. Certainly for me in Australia, the rules seem to be changing all of the time. The messaging isn't particularly clear about what we are and aren't allowed to do. I know that different countries are extending lockdowns, all sorts of things are going on, but none of us really know what's happening in the world right now. And so that level of uncertainty can produce a lot of anxiety for people that, as I say, you might not be someone that normally feels quite stressed or anxious in your life. But for all of us, we're kind of thrown into this whether we like it or not. So when you are trying to decide what tool you might use to manage your stress and anxiety, the first thing that you need to do is you need to get really good at taking your emotional temperature. And what I mean by that is being able to rate the intensity of that feeling of stress and anxiety. So when you notice that you're feeling stressed or that you're feeling anxious, I just want you to first ask yourself, on a 1 to 10 scale, if I had to rank this for myself, is this a 1, meaning it is a slight concern, it's slightly problematic, it's kind of in my periphery, it's there, it's a thought, or is it a 10, which would be a full-blown panic attack, right? Where you can't even breathe, you feel like you're having a heart attack, that would be a 10, right? But you're going to be somewhere on that 1 to 10 scale. Now, if you are rating your stress and anxiety at a 1 to 5, then you can absolutely use one of the mental tools that I'm going to go through first to deal with your stress and anxiety and to manage it and to regulate your nervous system. If you are at a 6 or higher, you 100% need to use a physical tool first. And that is because if you are at the level of stress that you self-rate as a 6 or higher, it's like trying to reason with a toddler that is having an outburst, right? You cannot use rationale and reasoning with a human being whose emotional system, whose amygdala, whose fear center has taken over, because it's not going to work. So there's a reason why when a little kid is having an outburst in a tantrum, we first need to physically soothe them. We need to use, calm words on them, give them a cuddle, all of these things. If you are at a 6 or higher, you absolutely need to physically calm yourself before you can rationally even start thinking at all about what's stressing you out or causing you anxiety. So that's the first thing, is just going, okay, can I even use one of these cognitive tools right now? Or am I so stressed that I just need to use a physical tool? And then when you're at a lower state of stress and anxiety, you could then potentially use a mental tool to kind of help you work through the next part of it. So once you kind of get your head around, taking your emotional temperature, and you'll get better at it as you do it more often, then you can kind of look at these tools. And for those of you that hopefully you got the email, there was a handout that went with that email. So all of these tools are in a handout. And I'm also going to pop it in the chat box. So I'm going to pop a Dropbox link for now, but I'll also just upload the file as a PDF. So if anyone wants to, for people that like to look along on notes, you can absolutely check out that handout. So the first mental tool to help you manage stress and anxiety, again, it's really simple. It's a mindfulness tool. It is called noticing, naming, and thanking. And this is all about just noticing what it is that you're thinking about and what it is that you're feeling, and being able to name that, just allow it to be there. So the first thing is, as I say, if you're feeling really stressed and anxious, is to be like, what am I thinking about right now? What is the feeling that's coming up for me that's causing me all of this stress and anxiety? So just being able to notice what you're even thinking about. And then when you name it, it's really important that you can distinguish the thought and the feeling as being separate from you as an individual. And by that, it might sound like semantics, which it is a little bit, but it's important. It's the difference between saying, I'm so stressed, and saying, a part of me is feeling stressed at the moment. A part of me is worrying right now. A part of me is feeling really anxious. A part of me is overwhelmed. That is very different from saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, when you say that you are something, you make that part of your identity, and it's much harder to actually cope with it, to manage it, to process it when you've taken it on board as part of who you are. So the first part is just getting good at saying, this is a feeling, a stressful thought that I'm having that's happening to me right now. And then the third part, which again is this counterintuitive part, is to actually thank it. And that, again, might seem really weird, but the reason why I'm asking you to thank it is that every single emotion that you ever feel is there to give you a piece of information. All of them, particularly the negative ones, but every single one communicates a message. And stress and anxiety communicate a really important message. They communicate, and again, we can look into the validity of it, but what they are communicating is that there is a risk, a perceived risk to your life. Right? Stress and anxiety are actually there to keep you safe and to protect you. So anytime you're feeling stressed or anxious, this is your brain trying to protect you because it thinks you're in danger. And as I said, sometimes, a lot of the time, most of the time, we're not in danger, right? So this is why we need to use these tools to reassure ourselves that, hang on, my life isn't in danger, I'm okay. But the actual experience of it and the feeling of it is your brain just really trying to help you out and say, oh shit, there's something here that I don't know what's going on. Like this coronavirus thing, I've never actually dealt with this before. I have no idea what it is. Be anxious, be anxious, be anxious, because you might be in danger, right? And so just being able to say, thank you, brain, for trying to protect me right now. And then the second tool, which I think is just a really great tool for all of us to use no matter what's going on, is to designate worry time during your day, to literally put aside a window in your day where you allow yourself to worry. But here's the thing about this window, is that you only allow yourself to worry in that window of time. And this is how you can kind of manage that anxiety, allow it to be there, give yourself permission to feel anxious. It's totally normal that you might be feeling anxious. Whatever you do, don't shame yourself or judge yourself for that feeling. Allow it to be there, but contain it. So usually I would recommend that people give themselves 20 minutes of worry time every day. And most people find that when they're allowed to worry for 20 minutes, and I'll tell you what you do in your little worry time, you usually need 10 minutes. 20 minutes is actually a really long time. But if you don't give yourself that 20-minute window, you might find that you are worrying on and off from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, which just, it takes over your whole day. It's so annoying. None of us want to be worrying all day. And so you give yourself that 20 minutes, which means that any time throughout the day, when you feel a worry, an anxious thought come up, a stressful thought come up, you say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to worry about you at 5 p.m. my worry time. I'm going to deal with you then. Thank you for showing up right now, but it's not 5 p.m. yet. So I'm just going to move on and do the task, but you know that you're going to let that worry be there. And then when 5 p.m. comes around, or whatever worry time you dictate, I like doing it towards the end of the day, because then you really can, get rid of all of those worries, calm yourself down before you go into your evening. But you get out a piece of paper and you write down every single thought that is stressing you out. And if you can, it's really good to divide that page into two, into things I can control and things I can't control. And you just self-assess where you put that thought, because there'll be plenty of things, majority of things right now that you're worrying about probably are outside of your control. So it's just about writing them down and being like, oh, I actually don't have any control over this. So again, it's easier said than done. It's about how do you come to a place of accepting, okay, that's there. There's nothing I can do about that right now, but I'm just going to accept that that's what's happening at the moment. That's what's showing up for me. But then there might be a whole bunch of stuff that you're worrying about that you do have a bit of control over. And so once you can see that list, then it's about saying, okay, well, what can I now do that would alleviate that worry? You essentially go into problem solving mode. And as I said, this is why for these mental tools, you have to be at a 5 or less on the stressed and anxious scale. Because if you're at a 6 or higher, your brain isn't in problem solving mode. It's not going to be able to even think what to do with these things, right? So it's about figuring out what can you control, what can't you control, and just problem solving the things that you can control. And then at any time outside of your 20-minute worry window, you really just got to be like, okay, I'm going to come back to that tomorrow in my worry window tomorrow, right? And you just get really good at allowing yourself to have that really specific time of the day when you do it. The next tool is, it's called a resilience affirmation. Now, so many of you, which is so exciting because I can see all your faces, so many of you have done my self-love talk. And so I'm going to talk about a tool that I use in that talk and why this is kind of similar, but why I've had to adjust the tool. So one of the tools in the self-love talk, where I talk about how it is that you can rewire unhelpful self-belief and any kind of unhelpful belief, is the counter evidence tool, which is essentially the idea where when you have a thought or a belief about yourself, you question the thought and you say, is that true? And then you look for all the counter evidence. So you need to look for the evidence that that unhelpful belief about yourself is not true, right? So where that works really well with thoughts that you are having, where you can look at them and be like, okay, I'm going to look and show myself that this thought I'm thinking, there's evidence to the contrary. The reason why we can't use that tool with worry and anxiety is that worry, those thoughts are hypothetical things that haven't even happened yet. So I can't ask you, if you're worrying that you might lose your job, I can't really ask you to look for evidence that you won't lose your job, because you may very well lose your job, right? I don't know. This is the whole point of this situation and this uncertainty, is that none of us really know. So I cannot ask you to look for evidence that that's not going to happen, because it's a future hypothetical. What I can ask you to do is to look for evidence of every single time you've ever been resilient and been able to handle a difficult situation. And so this is what the resilience affirmation is. And it's based on the work of a woman called Susan Jeffers, who some of you may have read her amazing book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And basically in that book, she talks about the fact that all of our fears and worries boil down to one true core fear or worry, which is that we won't be able to handle it. Whatever this thing is, that we're not going to be able to handle it when that happens. And so she says, if we can get to a place of acknowledging and being able to say, you know what, I've handled it before, I'll handle it again. I can handle it now. That's what we can draw on. And so when you are feeling anxious, when you're feeling stressed, I really want you to use that little affirmation of, I've handled it before, I'll handle it. And yes, you may not have handled this particular exact situation, because none of us have really been in a global pandemic before, but you have handled stuff that you probably thought you couldn't, right? Every single one of us has probably grieved the loss of a loved one that we thought we would never get through. You've probably handled really significant heartbreak. You may have handled all sorts of crazy situations in your life. You may have lost your job before. You may have had similar difficult situations that you've handled. And so to be able to recall those moments in your life and to look for the evidence of your own resilience can be really, really helpful, because you, as you hopefully all know, I think you are all much more brilliant than you probably give yourself credit for. I think you're all incredibly strong and resilient human beings who are always doing the best that you can in any given situation. And so I know that if I was to have a one-on-one with every single amazing human here on the call, and I asked you to tell me about things that you've handled in your life, there would be so many things. So it's about knowing, yeah, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with this rubbish, but you know that you can handle it because you've handled this before. So it's just reassuring yourself. I think it's a really nice affirmation. Just be like, yeah, I'll handle it. I'll be fine. The next tool is a mindfulness practice. Now, mindfulness it's such a buzzword, right? Like, this has really, really grown in popularity over the last 20 years. But essentially, what mindfulness is a non-judgmental acceptance of the present moment. That's all that mindfulness means. And so the reason why mindfulness is a really important tool in helping us manage stress and anxiety is that, again, anxiety it happens when we are thinking about the future and when we are not in the present moment. Anxiety it's similar to fear in that it's more of an anticipatory emotion. We feel more anxious worrying about things that might happen than if we actually all look around us. This is probably the perfect example. Every single one that I can see is sitting in a really, you've all got roofs over your head. Some of you have coffees. You're on nice, pleasant couches with cushions, and none of you are unsafe in this present moment. But stress and anxiety, the body might feel like you're really unsafe. So we need to kind of remind ourselves of the present. And the best way to do this, a really simple mindfulness practice, is to come literally back into your senses. So it's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're going to use your 5 senses. So you're going to ask yourself, anytime you're feeling stressed and anxious, okay, what's 5 things I can see right now? And you literally, I can see my phone in front of me. I've got my little podcast mic here. I can see the reflection of the flowers behind me. I can see all of your beautiful faces. So it's okay, 5 things I can see. And already I'm now right in this room. And then, okay, what are 4 things that you can hear? Now, you might not be able to hear 4 things right now. I can only hear the sound of my voice talking. So there's not a lot of noise going on. But if I was to be really silent and still, I'm sure I could hear, the traffic outside and different things. coming. So if you can't find 4, it's not a big deal, but essentially name some things that you can hear, and then 3 things that you can feel or that you can touch, right? So for me, it's my desk in front of me. I can touch this computer, but it's just feeling what is around you. And again, all of this is about bringing you into the present moment where you really are safe and you are secure and you have everything you need. And then 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. Because it's bizarre. Sometimes, like, we don't realize, we think we can only taste when we're actually eating something. But you might have a taste in your mouth even if you're not eating or drinking. It might be left over from earlier in the day, or you might have some kind of salty taste going on. When you actually ask yourself, what can I taste? It's amazing what you tune into. So just being aware that mindfulness is as simple as tuning into your senses, and that will always ground you in the present. And again, that is always going to calm the body down, because unless you are in a burning building or, like, you know, at the scene of an awful traffic incident or something like actually horrific is happening, 99.9% of the time in the present moment, you're safe and you're okay and you have what you need. So yeah, it's just a really good reminder of that, I guess. And the last of the mental tools, which for anyone that has done my Life After PC talk, which a lot of you have, you will have heard of this tool before, because this is the tool in the tool, where I basically say to everyone, oh, I'm giving you 10 tools, but this is my attempt at getting in like another 30, because this tool is where I'm going to ask you to come up with your own personal relaxation toolkit. And the reason why I want you to do this is because basically when you are stressed and when you're anxious, and I'll talk about this a little bit more when I go through the physical tools, but as most of you know from coming to Phuket Cleanse, and we talk about it all the time, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. But when you're stressed and anxious, you're in that sympathetic nervous system. And what you need to do, and what all of these tools are here to help you to do, is to get into your parasympathetic nervous system. And so anything that makes you feel calm and relaxed is really going to help switch on that parasympathetic nervous system. So I want you to ask yourself, what are all of the people, all of the places, all of the sounds, all of the smells, all of the activities, and all of the things that make you feel calm and relaxed? Because, you know, I often joke, I love this story, because I had a woman who came to that Life After PC talk, and she said, are you going to tell me to take a hot bath? And it was there's so much hostility in her voice. And I thought, no, because obviously you don't really like hot baths. And she was like, I bet you're going to ask me to get a massage. And I was like, maybe you don't like being touched. And she was like, I hate people touching me. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to ask you to do that. And she said, I keep Googling how to relax, and it keeps telling me to take a hot bath and get a massage. And I was like, yeah, this is the problem, right? Even with talks like these, with prescriptive things, is that not every tool works for every person. And so this tool is about you tuning in to what makes you feel calm and relaxed. Because I have tons of things. I have the ocean, I have peppermint tea, I have lavender essential oil, I have certain people, I have plants, I have, like, there's so many things. But if you ask my sister, she would say organizing things and decluttering, right? That's an activity that relaxes her. That would drive me mental. I'd rather, there's nothing I would, like, I really don't like doing that. Same with my mum. She would be like, well, I don't know if she would actually, but maybe, you know, folding laundry. It's very therapeutic. Not for me, right? I don't want to fold my laundry. But for some people, that might be really relaxing. Right? And it's the same things with, you know, we hear about mindful coloring in, and that is awesome for people that love mindful coloring in. Some people look at those books and it stresses them out even more. They think, I can't think of anything worse than coloring in right now. So this is about really, really tuning into what makes you feel calm and relaxed. And if you don't know that, then this is brilliant, right? This is all about building your self-awareness so that you can get really great at coming up with those things and tuning into yourself and being like, actually, I feel really calm right now. What did I just do? Some things that we know generally work for everybody are laughter, So that's a really cool tool for stress and anxiety, is to just find something that makes you laugh. We know that cold water does it, hence, you know, why the ice bath was so effective at PC, but you guys don't need an ice bath. You can just have a cold shower. That actually switches on the parasympathetic nervous system. We know that the energy of love does it. So thinking about someone that you love, or if you have a pet or an animal or just anything that you love, that energy turns on your parasympathetic nervous system. And for a lot of people, singing and dancing also does. And some people that would stress them out, but for me, it definitely works. I'm a big singer and dancer, so that really relaxes me. So they are some kind of really common ones. But as I say, just make your toolkit as big as possible. The bigger the toolkit, the better. That's what I say. So they are the 5 mental tools, right? So very simply just noticing and naming and thanking the anxiety or the thought for being there. Then designating worry time in your day so that it does not encapsulate the whole of your day. So that you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to come back to that. The third one is that resilience affirmation. I've handled it before. I'll handle it again. I can handle this. You know, just telling yourself how great you are, how resilient you are. The fourth one is that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 senses check. What can you see, hear, touch, smell, taste? And that last one where you get to come up with it, right? But as I said, and as I keep saying, those tools are the ones that you use if your stress and anxiety, if you rank that on a 1 to 10 scale, if it's 5 or below, you want to be using one of those tools. But for those of us that find that we are at a 6 or above, which for a lot of us we might be right now, right? This might be the time where our anxiety has gone into overdrive, because we also know that stress is contagious. In fact, all kind of emotions can be passed on, and they're passed on through mirror neurons. So if you are having a lot of meetings on Zoom with a lot of stressed out individuals, then you can be picking up on the stress of other people through the computer screen. So we really want to just be aware that if your stress and anxiety is really heightened right now, that's totally normal and it's okay. And you can use one of these other 5 tools. So the first of the 5 is, I'm sure everybody knows, this is like no surprises here, what I'm about to say, but it is exercise, right? And the reason why exercise is so brilliant is because exercise helps you complete the stress cycle. So if anyone has a chance to read, there's a new book out called Burnout by 2 sisters, Amelia and Emily, I think, Nagowski. And it's called Burnout, and it talks about the stress cycle. And so it's a really great book if you're interested in it, or if you are someone that gets burnt out because you're doing everything for everyone all the time, which I'm sure no one here can relate to doing that and getting burnt out. But yeah, basically, when your sympathetic nervous system is activated, it was back in the past, in our kind of caveman days, it was only ever activated for acute periods of time, right? And it was activated because there was a threat to our life. And then what happened was, and why we call it a fight or flight response, was that we either fought this, you know, crazy threat to our life, or we fled from it. So we were running away. Now, both of those options, whether you're standing and fighting this thing or whether you are running for your life, your body is using up all of the hormones that stress cycle, like that's why your body's producing those hormones, so that you can use it to fight or flee, right? So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, all sorts of physiological responses happen. So your heart rate gets faster, your breath gets shallower, the blood gets pumped to the extremities, it gets diverted away from your digestion and it goes to your arms and legs so that you can run or you can fight. And if you were to run or fight, then all of those chemicals, the cortisol, the adrenaline, would be released in the action of fighting or running, and cool, no harm to your body. But the problem is that your system is being turned on probably all the time, right? Particularly now, but it's being turned on with phone calls, it's being turned on with emails, with hypothetical worries about things that could happen, turns on that system. But unless you are doing something to physically complete that stress cycle, it's like it turns on and it never turns off. It turns, and then another one turns on, and then another one turns on. And so in their book Burnout, they describe the fact that what burnout is multiple unfinished stress cycles, one after another, after another, after another. And so the easiest way to complete the stress cycle and to get the excess adrenaline and cortisol out of your system is to exercise it, to literally sweat it out, right? So if you can just, and again, most of us are at home, but thankfully for most countries, the rules are that you can get out to exercise once a day. But even if you're doing it in your home, you know, just doing, the more you can do something that allows you to sweat, the better it is to release those hormones. But yeah, if you can do little, you know, star jumps, a HIIT workout, anything that you can do is going to help you to complete that stress cycle. So that's the first one. The second one is a strange one to be talking about in times like this, but it's physical touch. So of course, a lot of us are social, well, we're all social distancing, but some of us are alone in our quarantine lockdown situations. The good thing is, by the way, if you're alone, I'm going to teach you a technique, a physical touch technique that works even if you are by yourself. But if you are with your family in your lockdown scenario, then increasing the amount of physical touch is really going to help to reduce your stress and anxiety. So we know that physical touch produces oxytocin in the body, which is not only the hormone that makes you feel really good, but it's also the hormone that establishes feelings of trust and connection. And again, it's those feelings that override that feeling of fear and anxiety and stress. So trust and connection allow the body to feel safe, right? To calm down, which is why, again, it switches on the parasympathetic nervous system. But for anyone, as I say, who's alone, one of my brilliant obsessions, because of my obsession with self-love and self-compassion, is that I looked really closely at the research on self-compassion, which shows that the brain cannot distinguish, or the body can't distinguish rather, between someone else providing that physical soothing touch and you providing it for yourself. So, and this might sound really strange, but if you are giving yourself a hug, that is going to have the same impact on your physiology and on your nervous system as if somebody else gave you a hug. And the technique that I want to share with you today is called self-havening. And it's really it's super powerful. It's the easiest thing to do in the world. You might feel a bit strange doing it the first time, but I'm all for feeling strange. Nobody can see you anyway if you're alone in lockdown. So this is the perfect time to be doing these weird tools and showing yourself that they work. And this tool, by the way, for anyone that has any type of trauma in their background, this has been used a lot in therapy. And it's been used in the treatment of PTSD to really help people associate and disassociate from that, not disassociate, but integrate and feel safe when they think of that traumatic memory. So if you're interested, if you have trauma in your past, this is something that can really, really help. And so on the handout, there's a link to a video that explains this in much more detail. But even if it's just to help calm you down, this is a really cool tool. And essentially, it does look like you're giving yourself a bit of a hug. What you do is you cross your arms across your body. Anyone can do this with me if they want, but you really don't have to. It's totally up to you. Oh, yes, look, everyone's doing it. So cool. And what I want you to do is you are just going to stroke the sides of your arms. You're going to go from your shoulders down to your elbows. And then when you get to your elbows, you're just going to lift your hands up and go back up to the shoulders. Now just do that. We're going to do it 10 times and tell me if you don't feel calmer. I think we're at 6. I am 7. 2 more. Yeah. Does everybody not feel calmer? Just by stroking their own arms. I think that is the coolest thing, that something that simple can really calm your body down and make you feel really good. So if you are alone, use that technique. And if you have people in your household, then just give them more hugs, right? Or you can ask them to massage you. It's a perfect excuse to say, excuse me, but massage would be really good right now because it reduces stress and anxiety and improves my oxytocin. You can just use me and tell whoever's in your house to give you a massage. The third tool is a tool called tapping, or EFT. Now, EFT and tapping, exactly the same thing. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Now, this is something that I love, but it is something that I never actually got a chance to teach this at PC. I know we had an intern early for a period, and she did some talks on tapping. So if anyone was around when Airly was around, she did a few of those talks. But this is a tool that I think the kind of cynical part of me, the part of me that is very practical, was like, this feels a little bit too out there for me, a little bit too woo-woo. But this is why we love PC, right? But it was a tool that was given to me from my coach, a health coach, back when I was really struggling with emotional eating. And this was one of the tools that really, really helped. And now there is so much research around tapping, and I'll explain what it is, and I'll do a little demonstration, that shows that they have looked at, and they're even studying this now at Harvard. So they're making it really legitimate for the cynics in us who need hard science to back these things up. But they took different groups and they got them to do 30 minutes of tapping. They had a control group that obviously didn't. And what they found in the group that did the 30 minutes of tapping was that their cortisol had reduced by 43% just after 30 minutes of this technique. Right, so tapping is based on the idea that a negative emotion or stress and anxiety is a disruption of the body's energy flow. And so it is based on using tapping on certain meridian points. And it's the exact same meridian points and idea that is used in acupuncture. So it's basically like acupuncture, except instead of obviously going and getting someone to put needles and restore that energy flow, you're actually tapping on the point yourself. So it's quite good in that everyone can do it, right? Because you can all tap, because you all have that ability, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what the tapping points are. And what happens when you're tapping is that you are supposed to acknowledge and voice out loud the uncomfortable emotion that you're experiencing. So in this example, I'll just talk about feeling stressed and anxious. And then there's a couple of things that you can do. The kind of like classical tapping, like the original tapping, was that once you kind of talk about this emotion that you're experiencing, then the next sentence that you would say is, I love and accept myself completely, which for everyone that knows me, you would know that I love this, because this is like a little self-love mantra every single time you tap. But a lot of people find that a very difficult thing to say, and they think, what the hell has this got to do with anything? And so if that's you, you can choose to say something that is just more positive. So I'll give you an example in the tapping example I do, but you might choose to say something like, I choose to feel relaxed, right, in this moment, because we're talking about stress and anxiety. So you don't have to say, I love and accept myself completely, if it's going to cause you more stress and anxiety to be able to say that. But I personally, that's my favorite. So the points, I'll show you what the points are, and then I'll do a really quick tapping. And again, anyone can join in. You can do it with me. You don't have to. There's no pressure here. But the different tapping points, the first tapping point is called the karate chop point. And you literally tap on the outside of your hand like this. And you're supposed to, you don't need to count how many times you're tapping, but you need to tap at least 7 times, right? But obviously when you're talking like me, I've tapped now 30 times, so it's fine. And then it doesn't matter which hand you do, by the way. You can do either hand. It doesn't matter at all. The next point is the brow bone. And again, you can tap just one if you like. Doesn't matter if it's the right or the left, or you can tap both. So it's like literally at the end of your brow. That's the next point that you tap. The third point is you move to the side of the eye. Again, it's like not the temple, it's below. So it's just the side, it's kind of at the top of your cheekbone. And you tap there. And again, you can do both, or you can do either, doesn't matter. The next point is underneath the eye. Tap away. And then it's underneath the nose. So in that little crease in between the nose and the mouth. And then you tap under the mouth in the crease of your chin. Then both hands, I usually do the collarbones. The second last point is under the arm. For women, it's kind of like where your bra line would be. So it's like a few inches below your, I don't know if you can see where I'm doing it, but it doesn't really matter. If you get it off by an inch, you'll be fine. And then the last one is the top of your head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that round, and you can follow me. And I'm going to say the type of script. And again, there is no perfect script. It's not about getting this perfect. It's about voicing how it is that you're feeling. So I'm going to base this on someone that's feeling stressed and anxious, and then being able to say that you love and accept yourself, or that you're going to choose to relax. And so I will voice it for you, and you can just tap along and again, just see. But the way that they encourage people to see the effect that this has is to, again, do that emotional temperature check before you tap, and then do it after you tap, and just see. Because it's pretty, as I said to you, when I first started doing this, I was like, what a joke. Like, what am I doing, right? But every time at the end of it, I was like, oh, I feel so much calmer and better having voiced out loud what I was feeling and just tapped on it. So I'm all for it. I'm all for things that restore the natural energy flow of our body in ways that I don't really understand. So, okay. Here we go. You can repeat it after me, or you can just let me say it out loud. Okay, so it would be, even though I'm feeling stressed right now, I love and accept myself completely. Next point, the brow. All of this stress and anxiety that I'm feeling, I choose to relax in this moment. Even though I am super stressed right now, I love and accept myself completely. All of this anxiety, I choose to relax in this moment. Even though this stress feels overwhelming to me right now, I love and accept myself completely. Even though I'm so anxious, I can't think straight, I choose to relax in this moment. Even though I'm feeling really stressed right now, I love and accept myself completely. I feel completely overwhelmed right now, but I choose to relax in this moment. Even though I'm feeling stressed and anxious, I love and accept myself completely. And that is tapping, peeps. For anyone that finds that helpful and wants to experiment more, there's tons of, again, in the handout, I put a link to a website called The Tapping Solution, which just has plenty of videos that show you how to do it, because I don't expect you to remember all of those points, but they also have tons of free YouTube stuff, and you can do ones on their, on their website, they have tapping for anxiety. So you could, again, it would be like that, where someone would say the script and you would actually repeat it after them. And so you can self-administer this, and it's a really cool, helpful tool. for anyone that struggles with any type of uncomfortable emotion. It doesn't have to just be stress and anxiety. It could be loneliness or grief or anything that you're going through right now. The next one, which I was going to demonstrate, but I can't because you can't see, but I have like a bed behind me, so it's not going to work for me to stand up and do this. But the fourth tool is forward folds. Now, by forward fold, I mean exactly what it sounds like, right? It is when your body is folded over in any type of a forward fold move. So it could be standing up and touching your toes. It's one example of a forward fold. Also the ragdoll pose in yoga, which I love. You know, that one where you like are kind of holding your elbows and just like a ragdoll. It's the best. Or downward dog. That's also a forward fold. My personal favorite, best pose ever, well, apart from Shavasana, but child's pose. How good is child's pose, right? So that pose, again, it's a forward fold. And then other than those actual yoga poses or just standing up and touching your toes, if you're at a desk and you just like put your head onto your hands on the desk, that's also going to have a good effect. Or if you can put your head in your lap. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to do a forward fold to manage stress and anxiety is that this particular type of movement has been shown to really drop you quite quickly into that parasympathetic nervous system because it slows down your heart rate and calms you down. And the reason why it slows your heart rate is because the majority of your body is now below your heart. So in the same way, if I wanted to get you like revved up and amped up, I would have you like standing up straight and doing jumping jacks or whatever. If you are folding your body down so that your body is below your heart, now your heart does not have to work as hard to pump blood around your body. And so the heart rate slows and the parasympathetic nervous system switches on. It also activates the vagus nerve, which is responsible for, again, that relaxation within the body. So anytime you can just fold your body forward, that's a really simple way of physically calming your body down. So get into those child's poses or put your head in your lap, right? Whatever you can do, that's a really simple technique that you can use anytime, really. And the final one, which every single person knows probably what I'm going to say, and you all do this all the time. And again, if you've done the Life After PC talk or any talk at Phuket Cleanse, you'll hear us talk about this, which is breathing. Which, as you can hear, when you're, I had someone say to me that people that do a lot of speaking in their career actually need to really practice after giving a talk breath work, because when you're talking this much, you're not, your breath is really shallow. And so I'm actually activating I'm doing the opposite of this talk. And the entire time that I'm talking, I'm in the sympathetic nervous system. So it's just interesting to realize, sometimes we don't even notice that we're not breathing deeply. And so by breathing, I really do mean deep, deep breathing, and specifically extending the length of your exhale. Now, again, if you've done my talk, you'll have heard me say this before, but I'm going to explain it in the way that it really made sense to me, which is through the work of Dr. Libby, who's a nutritional biochemist who explained in a way that really made sense to me this sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system and how it relates to the breath. And she was explaining the fact that when you are in that sympathetic nervous system, as we were talking about before in those kind of caveman days, the whole purpose of that system is it is your body's survival system. It's there to get you to act quickly. You're supposed to have adrenaline pumping into your system and cortisol pumping into your system and all of your blood being diverted to your extremities so you can run. And your heart rate gets quicker and your breath gets shallower so that you can fight or you can flee, and woohoo, that all works, right? But we are kind of living in that system, even though our life is not in any kind of current danger. And so we need to get better at switching on the opposite system, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest nervous system. It's where all of your restorative hormones kick in. It's what happens when you are breathing deeply. It's what happens when you meditate, when you sleep, when you're relaxed, when you use any of these 10 tools that I give you today. That's what you're activating. And so the way that the breath signals to the body to switch on this system is that when you extend the length of your exhale, the body knows this person's life cannot be in danger because they have the time to breathe. Because if you were actually in danger, you would not have the time to do this really long, extended, calm exhale, right? You wouldn't, because you'd be running or fighting. So it's a really quick way of, again, this is why I say if your stress is at a 6 or higher, it's it's switching off that kind of rational part, and it's just saying to the body, oof, calm down. Your life is not in danger, and it can kind of regulate your nervous system so that then you can move on and use one of the mental tools. So what we also know about breath, and I'm not sure because I wasn't at Rita's Rebirth thing, but I've been to it before in person. But essentially your inhale activates the sympathetic nervous system, and it's your exhale that activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So again, if we were going, you know, those meditations that PC do where you are doing like lots of quick inhales and you feel really energized, that's because you're activating the opposite system, right? You're getting all of that adrenaline pumping. And so when I talk about breathing, it's really important that we're focusing on a really long exhale, because that's the breath that calms the body down. So I'm going to take you through we're just going to do 5 breaths. Now, I'm not going to do the breath with you because I tried this, and if I am counting, I can't also be counting and breathing at the same time. It doesn't work. I try and I get all confused because I'm half breathing, half counting, half whatever. So I am going to count you through the breath. So don't focus on my actual breath because I'm counting. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to count. You're going to inhale, and when you inhale, you're going to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. And as I said, I'll count it. Then you're going to hold for 7 seconds, and then you're going to exhale for 8. And this particular pattern has really been shown to strongly, like, to get you into a deep relaxation state really quickly. And so the idea, and this might feel really hard at the start for people that aren't used to deep breathing, but what you want to be doing is having your exhale be twice as long as your inhale, which is why we're doing 4 and 8. So if that feels too difficult for you to do, then just do 2 seconds and 4 seconds out. But you want that exhale to be double the length of your inhale. So I'm going to count, and we'll just do 5 breaths together. Okay. So you're going to take the first breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a big inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another deep breath in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another deep breath in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the last breath in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. As I say, 8 seconds for me. I didn't have great lung capacity. I had pneumonia as a kid, and my lungs are not that great. I need to practice. So an 8-second exhale for me is actually quite hard to do. So if you are like me, then as I say, shorten the length of your inhale and try 2 seconds and 4 seconds. But the longer you can do, the better. you know, and this is really something that the more you practice, the better you get at having those really deep, long breaths. Again, it's like anything, if you train it, those muscles and that way of, you get used to that way of breathing. So that is the final physical tool. So the physical ones: exercise, touch, and our little self-havening technique, tapping, and then the forward folds, or the extended exhale breathing. So you have 10 tools there. As I said, use the physical ones whenever you are feeling stressed and anxious at a 6 to 10 level. And whenever you're at a 1 to 5, that's when you can start using one of those mental tools. And of course, you can combine tools. You can use as many as you like. If you want to spend all day using all these tools, go for your life. But otherwise, maybe choose your favorite mental one and your favorite physical one and just stick to those. So yeah, hopefully that is helpful. A lot of these tools, by the way, I just like to credit and mention the work when I reference people. This is all of these tools are kind of the work of Emilia Zhitovskaya. I mean, they're not her tools. Obviously, we all know these tools, but she does a lot of work. She has a center called the Flourishing Center in New York, which is a center that teaches positive psychology. And Emilia is someone that I've been lucky enough to meet a couple of times at the events that I have been to in New York over the past few summers. And so she's a kind of personal mentor of mine and an amazing positive psychology teacher. And all of these tools are collated on her website as well. So, I mean, she has way more. She's got like 30 of them. But yeah, the ones that I've been through today are from the Flourishing Center. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are mine. But yeah. So thank you, everyone. If anyone has any questions about any tool or anything, you can pop it in the chat. You can unmute yourself. I am more than willing to answer those questions. And Mel is also here to do a meditation. But I guess before I throw to Mel for the meditation, just if there is a question or anything that anyone's wondering, feel free to ask me and I will answer. I'll do my best to answer. It's so nice seeing you all the way, but it's so nice seeing you all by the way. Can't even talk. It's so cool. I'm like, just want to say hi to everyone. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Naomi. Yeah, it's been so lovely. And there's some of you that I feel like I haven't seen in ages, and others wasn't that long ago that you were all at PC. So it's the best. Thank you for being here. If you have questions, just pop them in. Otherwise, also on the handout is my email and my WhatsApp. You can contact me at any time, and I'll help you out if I can with any of this stuff. So by the way, all of those tools you can use for any uncomfortable emotion to help you regulate. So if you are someone, because I think I mentioned in the outline and I didn't really touch on it today, but if you are someone that is struggling with any type of self-destructive, we could call it a self-destructive behavior, or we could call it a coping mechanism, a numbing behavior, whether it's emotional eating, whether it's drinking more than you normally do, whether it's Netflix binging, whatever it may be. First of all, that's all okay. We cope how we can, right? But what you are doing, what those coping mechanisms are designed to do is to help regulate your nervous system. So it's like your kind of go-to to actually help calm your body down. And so any of these tools can kind of be used instead of turning to the food or the drink or the whatever it is that you turn to. So if anyone has any issues on emotional eating or anything, then just email or WhatsApp me and I can give you some more help with that specifically. So I think with that, I will throw over to the lovely Mel. Thanks, lovely ladies, for messaging me.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was such a well put together talk. You made it look so. And I know it's obvious that you have 52 books going in your Kindle because you really have the goods for us, and you always have. And we always have heard such great things about you through the years. I always think you look so young and like a kid, but when you speak, you're a real woman. That's for sure. You're not a kid, but she looks so youthful to me.
Oh, thanks.
Really?
I think that I'm youthful, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I'm getting old.
No, you're not. No. And I really appreciate your wisdom and your guidance. And these are amazing tools. You know, tapping has been a super popular tool for a long time, but I see some of the real masters, the people who have been around a long time, you know, they're in their 60s now, and they've been doing coaching work, and they're real world famous coaches like Gabby Bernstein, for example. She's been around a while, and she now says tapping is her number one tool. Now Gabby's seen it all, and she's been exposed to it all, and she says tapping's her favorite tool. So this is really a tool of the masters, and of course it is connected to Oriental medicine, which has been around forever too. So I hope people play around with the tapping. I know people love it. Yeah. So and the other tools for me, I like bending over and touching my toes. That's one of my favorite tools. I've heard so many people say that just relieves them from everything. Yeah. So thank you for that.
And I didn't purposely, by the way, guys, I didn't put meditation on the mental tools because I was like, oh, I know that we're going to finish with a meditation, so then we can get a 6th tool in there, and I can still I was trying to like maximize the tools I could give you. But absolutely, meditation, people, is I hope you would know, obviously, a mental tool that will help you cope with stress and anxiety. So it's another tool that Mel's going to give you now.
Yes. Well, we're going to do a little meditation, and it's going to be a little bit different today. And then I'm going to try to work with you a little bit on your visualization skills. Because actually, I believe that we are going to eventually find when plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D doesn't work. As an owner of a business, I realize every great plan I have has been destroyed. And, you know, I'm on plan Z. And I think, if there's business owners out here, they may know what I'm talking about, that all the COVID seems to be the ultimate plan destroyer. It's like a little brother. You build a beautiful sandcastle and your little brother comes and knocks it all over. That seems what COVID does with all the plans that business people are making. I've come to realize, I think it's about us, you know, beginning to visualize what is it we do want. I think, what is it we really do want? I mean, plan B, plan C, plan D isn't always what we really, really want. It's just practical and logical. And maybe this gives us a chance to visualize and create a whole new world. And I've come to find out from people that visualizing, especially things we haven't seen before, is difficult for people to visualize. I think kids are quite good at it, and as we get older, we have a harder time visualizing. So today's meditation is just a simple one that just lets you practice your visualization skills. And no big thing we're going to do today, just simply working on fine-tuning the visualization skills. But I thought I'd give you guys like a 4-minute break if anybody just needs to stand up or stretch, or, you know, you guys have been sitting a while, because I want to go really deep. I want you to go deep into your visualization. So it just may help you to just move or stretch for a minute, run to the bathroom, get some water, whatever, so that I can take you deep. Maybe bend over and touch your toes, or do a little tapping, or anything you can do to just move the body before I take you into some deep stillness. So in this meditation, it would be great if you can lie down so that you can get really relaxed. I think it's going to help you. If you choose to sit up, that's fine too, but do keep your eyes closed because we are going to be creating an inner world, a whole inner universe. So definitely you'll need your eyes closed. So that will be important. And so before we start, I want to set you up for what we're going to do here today. First, the goal is just to get you visualizing, seeing crisp colors, smelling things that you really can't smell, maybe feeling things on your skin. And I will tell you what to smell, see, hear, all of that. But just practice and enjoy really pulling yourself into it. And I know everybody can do it. A lot of people say to me, I can't visualize. But if they sit down and they actually read a novel or a passage from a novel, a great novelist can take them deep into an experience that one creates in their imagination. So I know everybody can do it. If we've ever read a beautiful paragraph written by a novelist. But what we're going to do today, there's a little exercise that's going to happen in this. And we're going to have a chance to ask our higher guidance, whatever that may be to you. Maybe it's your own intuition. Maybe if you have a particular religion, then you maybe ask for higher guidance from a God in your religion. Who knows? Everybody has their own way they feel that where they feel their intuitive information is. Some people believe in angels, some people believe in guides. So whatever your belief system, there's going to be a moment where you can ask a question to your higher guidance. Now, the way this kind of thing works is you may get the answer now, and you might get a feeling, you might get a feeling in your body, or you might hear a word, or you might see a visual. And that's fine. And I hope that happens. But I also hope for some of you, it doesn't happen, because the answer will come over the coming days. You're simply putting the question out there, and you may get pieces of the answer now. If you don't, you can sure be excited to know that it's on its way. And as long as you're following your heart and you're following your highest excitement in your everyday life, and you're in the right place at the right time, someone's going to say something out of the blue and you're going to say, oh my gosh, that's the answer I was looking for. Or something will pop up on your computer. Or often it'll happen when you're in a state of service. Often when you're notice you're helping somebody and you just so happen to be in that right place at the right time. And because you're there at that moment, the answer comes. So it may come now, and hopefully it'll come in even more exciting way over the coming days. So I tell you that because it's very important that you have no anxiety around, oh my gosh, I want to hear the answer. I want my intuition to tell me the answer. I want my angels to tell me the answer. That is the for sure way you will not get the answer now. But don't worry, even if you do stress and freak out, I want to hear my angel's voice. I want to hear my angel's voice. You might not hear it now because you're closing off to it. But the good news is it will come to you in that divine time. So you'll have something to look forward to. So you can look forward to that. So, all right, I encourage you just to lie back, close your eyes, get in a real comfortable position, and I will take you on a little journey. Now, I'd like you to take a moment to revisit the breath that you were practicing with Sam, where you were doing those long inhales. You were holding your breath, and you were doing the long exhales. And as you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in this tone, as this is a tone that helps to open you to your subconscious world. as if you are aligning your system and matching your energy with the tone you hear simply by breathing it in, holding, and exhaling it out. And I will be quiet so you can take time to do that now. Knowing this tone is like an eraser, as it erases thoughts, tensions you're holding in your body. Continuing with that mindful breathing. Feel yourself falling down, melting down, muscles melting down, drifting down. Starting to feel you're almost floating through the tone as you unite with it. Like you're floating into it. Practicing that one pointed focus. Going deeper into that one pointed focus and just going down. Now imagine the tone is like a golden wave of light, swirling and swirling and traveling through the dark, starry universe. And then you could just get on it and start riding it to a place in your past. We don't know where you're going. Just ride. Now allow this light to take you to a place from your past that you consider very comfortable. Maybe it was a place you just visited one time for a day or an hour, or maybe it was a place you grew up in. Or maybe it was a place that you saw on the internet you always wanted to go to, and you've always kept it in the back of your mind. And the wave is taking you right into that place. And into a room in that place that brings you comfort. You're going into the room now. Perhaps it was the people you associated with from this place that brought you comfort, or it was the place itself. So you're going into that room now, and you're finding a place to sit in this room. Really taking a look at the room as if you're in there now. And noticing it's the end of day. You know it's the end of the day because the white radiance of the day is diminishing. The sun descends, and bright orange surfing waves of warmth penetrate the room, warming your face, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, warming your arms, feeling the warmth of the sun's rays on your arms, warming your legs, feeling the warm sunset on your legs. And now your toes. And as you are so comfortably relaxing in the room and basking in the warm orange penetrating sunlight, you look to the right, noticing a door on the wall. You are sure this door was not here in this room before. This door appears to be a steel old vault with a crank on it. This vault door is totally out of place and time, as the vault looks to be hundreds of years old, built in a way you don't see things built anymore. You find the heavy, fine craftsmanship to be ornate and majestic. You go to move the crank counterclockwise, and a screeching noise pierces the room. It is as if this crank hasn't opened in 100 years. The door pops open. You walk through the vault, which leads you to another time and place in history. It appears you've entered an 1800s Victorian library and a mansion perhaps belonging to your ancestors. Or perhaps it is a library from an old novel or movie. The library is connected to you as it is your library, full of records and books of information that will aid and assist you anytime you need it. moving into the room slowly and curiously. You think that it must be afternoon tea time, as a cup of mint tea sits on a table waiting for you. A handwritten note card with your name is propped up on the saucer. Afternoon light filters through filigree lattices, dipping the library into hues of pale gold. You sit upon a canary yellow sofa at the window. You plunge into the cushion, sinking into silken softness. You sip the tea, inhaling the cool mint. You notice a fluffy white kitten. She uncurls from an embroidered cushion, stretches, yawns, and settles back to sleep in front of the golden, warm, crackling fire. You realize you are sitting in your personal library. You are in the Akashic Records, where you can acquire information on your own life or any information you choose to acquire. You notice a book next to a teacup. The cover features your name across it in elegant, fine calligraphy. Before you open the book, know there are messages in each page for you. They are messages from your higher guidance. Open to any page now. With a question in mind, or perhaps no question at all. Perhaps you just open and know that guidance will come your way. However, if you have a question, hold the intention of this question in your heart. As you sit with the page you have opened, you become more deeply relaxed and simply sit with that page open. As you sit for a few moments in a receptive state, just rest as if you're going to sleep. Your only job is to go down deeper into a state of rest, as if you're falling asleep. There's nothing to wait for, nothing to anticipate, as in this deep state of rest, with no intention, just sleeping. You become receptive. And the information will start to float your way into your universe, Whether you can perceive it now or will perceive it over the coming days doesn't matter. Your job only is to rest and just fall into a sleep-like state. This receptive state of receiving. Perhaps dreamy images or feelings may come to you as they do when you start to fall into sleep. Or they will just sit in your subconscious and show up in your reality as a message over the coming days. Knowing now that you have sent the intention for higher guidance, and even if you've received your wisdom now, know it will continue to pour upon you in the coming days in various ways. Your universe will speak to you. The characters in your universe will carry messages. Nature will carry wisdom. Your loving service will take you deeper into the places where your messages await you. Your whole universe will speak to you. Simply follow your heart. In the coming days, follow your bliss. And you will be in the right place where your universe can speak to you. Whenever you're ready, you can begin to wriggle your body. And coming back into your universe. Taking a breath. Of excitement for all that awaits you as you come back. Feeling free to open your eyes whenever you're ready. Okay. Well, you should have a very curious week as you walk around in your universe waiting to see who the messengers are. And perhaps some of you receive some intuition now, an insight now, maybe through a feeling, smell, a taste, a vision, a word. And if that's the case, I recommend you write it down, because when you're in those deep states, it's very much like dreaming. And if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it. So maybe take a moment, if anything came to you, to write it down. If nothing came, just know it's coming. And when it comes, maybe write it down. So that is the end of today's session. We have a few announcements, I believe, for some other upcoming things. First of all, ask Rita if you have any plans of when we may be doing one of those wonderful rebirthings again.
Thanks, Mel. I just want to say thank you all. I see so many of you that were on the call the past day, and thank you all for being on the rebirthing sessions. And I'll be contacting all the people who registered for rebirthing and see, for the breathwork sessions, and see what you want next and what would be the better time or the better day, or if you want to do something, maybe a different type of breathwork every other week or something like that. So I'll be in touch with everybody on that. And again, I just want to say thank you for all who were on the call. It was so beautiful. Both calls were so beautiful yesterday. So thank you. And I just want to do a little plug here. I have been begging Melanie to start a course for people. I announced this in the rebirthing sessions that I've been a student of Melanie's now for more than 5 years. And I call it being a student. I mean, I came as a guest a couple of times at Phuket Cleanse, but ever since I've been around Melanie, around Phuket Cleanse, around her teachings, my life has absolutely exploded into things that I couldn't even have dreamed that I could manifest. And I've begged her to put some sort of course together to offer to the guests, especially now because she has the time. She's not working 23 hours a day or 26 hours a day like she usually does when Phuket Cleanse is normally operating. And she is going to be offering an online course. I'm not exactly sure how many weeks it is. It will be a paid course. And the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why, is because you really need to have a strong intention to go to this course every week in order to build on her teachings each week. And I just would like Melanie to explain a little more. I want to thank her for putting this together and offering it out to the community, because as I said, it's just absolutely magical what type of intention setting and manifestation in your life can come with Melanie guiding. Sometimes I've had to say, stop, it's enough, it's too much, because it comes so fast. So Mel, do you want to explain a little bit about what you are thinking of offering?
Well, I've been lucky because I have sort of two sides of me. I have a scientist side, and then I have more of a metaphysical side. And I was very lucky around the early 2000s to follow the work of a lot of physicists who wanted to study the science of prayer, the science of intention, the science of manifestation work, the science of healing, like Reiki and that type of thing, and really do what scientists do double-blind studies and quantify everything and see what manifestation techniques work or what prayer techniques work, what's the best way to set an intention and make it happen. And I followed them for 10 years. And I also have been a student of meditation for like 30. So basically I was putting together a course on intention setting and manifestation and building intuition based on what I learned. So that as we do build this new world and rebuild our lives and build our lives in a new glorious way, that we have some of these skills that I feel have kind of been buried. I don't think a lot of people had the benefits of learning this work. And I just really feel like I want to bring it to the forefront so people feel empowered and can do some really healthy healing work on their lives and in their communities. And yes, so if you're interested in this kind of thing, just drop us a line. They'll put an email here for you, and we'll send you some information on the course and let you know about it so you can see if it's right for you. So thank you, Rita. That's one thing. And then next, the announcement I wanted to make was about next week's call. So next Sunday, I am going to teach actually an imagination and intuition class where I, again, was lucky to learn a lot about intuition building. How do we build our own intuitive skills? And how do we develop our imagination? You know, the imagination that was so wild and vivid when we were young children, and how to bring some of that back. So it will be sort of an inner playground. And we'll be doing things like little breakout groups and pair groups on here for you to practice some of your intuitive abilities as I give you various exercises and techniques and you practice them. So it'll be very interactive. Luckily, we've got Tamara here who knows how to make breakout groups on Zoom, which to me seems space age, but it's probably super easy. So it should be a very interactive group next week. So that's one thing I want to announce. And then I guess Rita will be sending us information on the upcoming rebirthing events. And oh, I'm going to put something here, and I'm just going to leave you with our meditation page. We have a lot of really high-end guided meditations we invested in creating. We used a lot of technologies. They're totally free for you guys. Just go to that link. We used a lot of meditation technologies in there to really take you into deep places. So you should use earbuds when you use it, because actually 2 different tones are going to be playing in your ears. You'll have one tone playing in one ear and one tone playing in the other. And when they play together, it kind of knocks you into a deep, relaxed state. So you can see there's many topics of meditations on there. So you can play with them and find the topics that speak to you. And that would be a good little relaxation technique and even manifestation technique you can do over the course of the week. The one meditation that everybody says they love is the healing meditation. That's been a popular one. So I just thought I'd put that out there because everyone says that. That one's just magical. And I had a tooth abscess this last week, and everybody said, oh, you got to do that healing meditation, because everybody said to me when they had a bad back or an injury or something, they did that healing meditation that's on there, and it really worked for them. So I guess I'll have to try that meditation that's on there. Yes. So that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for being here. So nice.
And everybody, we're unmuting you. So if anybody has anything to chat about or share, anything they want to say, go ahead.
Dinner time here in Australia.
What time is it?
It's like 7:45.
Oh, yeah.
In the evening. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a good day, everyone. If you haven't had your Sunday yet, it's great. You'll enjoy it. A message from the future.
Good. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so nice to see you all. See you, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday.
Yeah. And I hope to see you guys next week. It really means a lot. And feel free to contact us. Maybe, can we put my WhatsApp number in here? We'll put my WhatsApp number if anybody wants to send me a message. We also have an email that you can send to us. If you have any comments or questions, even on your meditation today, if you had a vision or something that came to you and you just want to tell somebody so you don't forget it, you could send that to me or ask me a question. Or when your universe speaks to you this week and you hear that guidance from some character in your universe and you want to just tell somebody, you can WhatsApp me. You can tell me anything.
I love it. Thanks.
Yes. Bye, guys.
See you. So nice to see all the faces.
I know, it is really.
The best.